Hi guys and welcome to my channel. Today is another collaboration video with Dan from Dan's Tube, Australia's #1 drone reviewer. Go over and give him a follow and a like. Now that the Air 3 has been updated with the latest firmware that you now can use ActiveTrack 360, Dan and I thought it would be a good test to put the Air 3 up against the Mini 4 Pro with ActiveTrack Auto. So what we did was we went to a pretty much open area, to an empty car park where there was a couple of light poles and some power lines, and we were on our scooters and we were just getting it to track us around this car park to see what difference there was between the Air 3 and the Mini 4 Pro. Now, I can tell you that both of them did an absolutely amazing job, and can say that without a doubt, if you're in a very open area, yes, the ActiveTrack 360 in full auto mode is definitely worth using. So when we look at these clips side by side, you can see that the Air 3 and the Mini 4 Pro are pretty much exactly the same with the ActiveTrack 360 Auto. They all do the same moves. They do a follow move, they do a helix move, they hold, and they do an amazing job at that. Now, there was a couple of poles around that we thought that might have caused a bit of a problem. So what we're doing, whoever had the controller and it was flying, and keep an eye on it, making sure it doesn't hit anything. We had our thumb over the pause button, so if something was to go wrong, we could hit pause and it would stop it automatically. We didn't have to do that because both drones did an amazing job. And we also tested the active tracking on the Air 3 and Mini 4 Pro to see if we could fool it to get it to stop tracking the person that it was tracking. Now, no matter what Dan and I did in both scenarios, either in the Mini 4 Pro or the Air 3, to try and get that tracking to swap over, it did not happen. It literally just stuck on the person that we highlighted to track and then just stayed with them no matter what we did. Even if I pushed Dan out of the way to try and take it over, jump up and down in front of Dan to try and get it to recognize me and not pick up on Dan, even when Dan did that to me, it would always just lock into that target. DJI must be doing something crazy there, big brotherish, to be able to just lock onto that one person, because it's literally, it must be, I don't know how they were doing it, if it was face recognition or something else, I don't know, but because it was just locked into the person that we were tracking, it did not move or budge. So DJI, hats off for that. But as you can see, we were very close to the drone. And it was been able to spot us very clearly. I don't know if that would have been the case if the drone was further away, where it didn't have so much detail to put in the algorithm to make sure that it was tracking the right person or not. I don't know if we put the drone out a little bit further, if that would happen still or not, because it was quite close in, so it had a lot of information that it could read to make sure that it was tracking the right person. If the drone was further away, it may not have enough information for it to continue to do that. But who knows, that's for another test. But here's what Dan thought about that experience.
Thank you for having me on your channel, Colin, and hello everyone who is watching this video. My name is Dan from danstube.tv. Check out my video for a different kind of perspective on how this ActiveTrack 360 Auto went. But as Colin and I discussed on the day, and as Colin has kind of mentioned throughout this video, we were blown away with how well the ActiveTrack 360 Auto went. We did some pretty interesting tests to try to put it off and just to see how it would perform in some different scenarios. When we did the movement tracking, the auto tracking, while the actual electric scooters were moving, that impressed me a lot. I was blown away with the kind of maneuvers and movements that it did. Created quite a dynamic looking shot, and even at times flipped around, you know, like kind of swung around and got in front of us and continued tracking us. It looked phenomenal. I was quite impressed with that. And then when we did some other tests, we tried to put the actual drones off by jumping in front of it or hiding behind and then kind of ducking out of the frame, seeing if it lost us. Never lost us. The Air 3 and the Mini 4 Pro never lost us, did a really awesome job. One thing to keep in mind is that if you were wanting to increase or decrease the altitude mid-flight, you just can't do that in the auto mode. So just keep in mind, Colin and I literally had our fingers over the pause button. So it's like the home point and the pause button. If you just have your finger over that and kind of go from watching the screen to watching the subject, you can then just press that pause button and it will stop the drone in its tracks. So that's really good to know, just in case anything happens or if you get too close. There are a few moments where we were a little bit nervous, but overall, no issues. Like I said, we couldn't control the altitude, we couldn't really move it, we just had to leave it in auto and trust it, and we were just ready to stop it if something was going to happen, but never had to do that. You know, a few close calls, a few where we were kind of like, oh, is it getting close to the pole? But you could see it was sensing everything, it was beeping, and it would change kind of like where it was going based on what was around it, and never lost us, never skipped a beat, and it just kept up with us at all times. And then those other tests where we were trying to put it off, they must have some sort of technology that's actually like mapping out a profile of a person, because, you know, like we tried to hide and then jump away. It leaves the pin there. It knows exactly who it's tracking. It didn't get caught up and start tracking Colin or start tracking me, you know, vice versa. It just knew exactly who it was tracking originally and never lost us. So really impressive stuff here from DJI, and we were both extremely impressed with what it did.
Thanks, Dan. So, you know, Dan is absolutely a wealth of knowledge when it comes to drones. I have learnt so much from Dan. So please don't forget to go over to his channel and like and subscribe over there. He has some great stuff on drones and other tech related stuff. If you would like to pick up either an Air 3 or a Mini 4 Pro, there'll be links below where you can do that. Everything else that I use, I'll leave links as well. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this video, to like and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And until next time, guys, I'm Colin from O'Colin, out.